My name is Logan Barrett. The worst moment of my life wasn't losing my father. It was hearing my own mother point at my 8-year-old daughter during his memorial dinner and say, "She isn't family, she never was." My little girl looked up at me with tears in her eyes and whispered, "Daddy, what did I do wrong?" Before I could answer, Dad's attorney stood up, opened a sealed envelope, and calmly announced, "Actually, Richard Barrett left the lake house to one person, and that person is your granddaughter." The room fell completely silent. No one saw that coming. My name is Logan Barrett, and I live in Traverse City, Michigan. My daughter, Harper, is 8 years old. She has my smile, her mother's kind heart, and the ability to make everyone around her laugh. Her mother, Sophia, passed away from leukemia when Harper was only 4. From that day on, it was just the two of us. Every morning I braided Harper's hair before school. Every Friday we made homemade pizza. Every Sunday we visited my father at his beautiful lake house. That lake house wasn't expensive because of its size. It was valuable because of its memories. Dad built the wooden dock himself. He taught Harper how to fish there. He carved her name into a little wooden bench beside the lake. He always called her, "My little sunshine." My father, Richard Barrett, adored Harper more than anything. My mother, Elaine Barrett, never did. She never accepted Harper completely. Not because Harper had done anything wrong, but because she believed I should have remarried into a wealthy family. She often hinted that Harper reminded her too much of Sophia. It broke my heart. Dad always defended us. Whenever Mom made a cold remark, Dad would smile at Harper and say, "Ignore the noise, sweetheart. You belong exactly where you are." Those words meant everything to her. One autumn afternoon, Dad suffered a stroke while repairing the old dock. Despite every effort, he passed away peacefully 2 days later. The strongest man I'd ever known was gone. The funeral drew hundreds of people. Neighbors, friends, former coworkers, everyone loved him. After the burial, our family gathered at the lake house for dinner. It felt empty without Dad's laughter. Harper quietly carried a framed photograph of Grandpa everywhere she went. She kissed the picture before placing it beside his favorite chair. "I miss Grandpa," she whispered. My eyes filled with tears. Then everything changed. While everyone talked about Dad's estate, Harper walked into the kitchen carrying a tray of cookies she had helped bake. She smiled shyly. "I made these for everyone." Before anyone could respond, Mom looked directly at her, then said words I'll never forget. "Put those down." Harper froze. Mom continued, "This is a family meeting. You're not family." The room went completely silent. The tray slipped from Harper's hands. Cookies scattered across the floor. She looked at me. "Daddy, what did I do?" My heart shattered. I immediately knelt beside her. "You did absolutely nothing wrong." I picked her up, ready to leave forever. That's when someone cleared his throat. It was Dad's attorney, Benjamin Carter. He had been quietly sitting in the corner the entire evening. He slowly stood up. "I'm afraid we cannot continue until I read Mr. Barrett's final instructions." Mom crossed her arms confidently. "I'm his wife. I already know what's in the will." Benjamin calmly shook his head. "No, you don't." He removed a thick sealed envelope from his leather briefcase. Across the front, Dad had written one sentence. "Read this only after everyone is together at the lake house." My heartbeat doubled. Benjamin carefully broke the seal, then looked around the room. His eyes finally stopped on Harper. He smiled gently. "Richard specifically asked me to read the first paragraph directly to his granddaughter." Harper wiped away her tears. Benjamin began reading. "My little sunshine, if you're hearing this letter, then I have already taken my final fishing trip." A few people quietly smiled through tears. Benjamin continued, "Never let anyone convince you that you don't belong in this family." Harper squeezed my hand tightly. Then came the sentence that changed everything. "Because the greatest thing I ever built wasn't this lake house. It was the future I dreamed for you." Mom looked confused. Benjamin slowly reached into his briefcase again. He removed another sealed folder. Then quietly announced, "There's one more document, and it changes everything." The room was so quiet. You could hear the wind blowing across the frozen lake outside. Everyone stared at Attorney Benjamin Carter. My mother folded her arms confidently. I'm Richard's wife. I assume the lake house is mine. Benjamin didn't answer. Instead, he slowly opened the second folder. He adjusted his glasses, then looked directly at Harper. My dear, your grandfather asked me to tell you one thing before I read this. Harper sniffled. What is it? Benjamin smiled warmly. He said, every time you skipped stones across the lake, you reminded me that love creates ripples that never end. Tears filled Harper's eyes. She whispered, I miss Grandpa. So do I, Benjamin replied. He unfolded the legal papers. The property known as Barrett Lake House. Mom smiled. Has been placed into the Barrett Legacy Trust. She frowned. What does that mean? Benjamin continued reading. The sole beneficiary. He paused. Is Harper Barrett. For a second, no one moved. No one breathed. My mother jumped to her feet. That's impossible. There has to be a mistake. Benjamin calmly shook his head. There isn't. The trust was created 2 years ago. Mom stared at me. You knew about this. I swear, I didn't. Benjamin confirmed it. Mr. Barrett specifically instructed that no one, not even Logan, should know until after his passing. Mom slammed her hand on the table. This is ridiculous. She's only 8 years old. Benjamin nodded. Correct. Which is why the trust names Logan Barrett as trustee until Harper turns 25. My younger cousin whispered. Richard planned everything. Benjamin smiled. He certainly did. Mom wasn't finished. Richard would never leave everything to a child. Benjamin looked at her sadly. I don't think you fully understand. He reached into his briefcase one final time. This wasn't his only letter. He handed one sealed envelope directly to my mother. Across the front were the words. For Elaine. Her hands trembled as she opened it. Inside was Dad's handwriting. She began reading silently. Halfway through, she started crying. I had never seen my mother cry. Benjamin quietly asked, would you like me to read it aloud? She slowly nodded. He took the letter, then began. Elaine, if you're hearing these words, it means you've probably hurt Harper again. Mom lowered her head. Benjamin continued. For years, I've watched you keep emotional distance from an innocent little girl. Not because of anything she did, but because she reminds you of someone you've already lost. Everyone looked confused. Someone you'd already lost. Benjamin kept reading. You never told Logan, but after our daughter Claire died as a baby, you built walls around your heart. My entire body froze. Claire, I had never known I once had a sister. Mom burst into tears. Dad's letter continued. Harper didn't replace Claire. No child ever could. But instead of loving Harper, you punished her for reminding you how much you still hurt. The room fell silent. Mom collapsed into a chair, sobbing uncontrollably. I never meant. I never. She couldn't finish. For the first time, I understood. Her coldness wasn't born from hate. It came from grief she had buried for decades. Dad's final words echoed through the room. If you truly want to honor me, love Harper the way I always wished you would. No one spoke. Harper slowly walked across the room. She stood in front of Grandma, then quietly asked, Grandma, did you really have another little girl? Mom nodded through tears. Yes, she died before your daddy was born. Harper gently hugged her. It's okay. You can still love me. Those 6 words completely broke my mother. She hugged Harper tighter than anyone expected. I'm so sorry. So sorry. Harper smiled. It's okay, Grandma. I forgive you. Benjamin quietly packed his papers. Before leaving, he handed me a small wooden key. Richard asked me to give you this after everything was finished. What does it open? He smiled. The old fishing cabin behind the lake. The next morning, Harper and I unlocked the tiny cabin. Inside, Dad had turned it into a memory room. Photographs, fishing poles, old journals, and one final video. Dad appeared on the screen wearing his favorite flannel jacket. If you're watching this, I'm probably fishing somewhere much better. Harper laughed through her tears. Dad smiled. My little sunshine. The lake house was never about money. It was about making sure you'd always have a place where you felt loved. Then he looked directly into the camera. Logan, you've been an incredible father. I couldn't leave this place in better hands. Months passed. The lake house became something new. Instead of keeping it private, Harper had an idea. Daddy, what if we let families stay here for free after they lose someone they love? I looked at her. Why? She smiled. Because Grandpa always helped people. My heart melted. Using part of Dad's savings, we created the Richard Barrett Family Retreat. Families grieving the loss of loved ones could spend weekends by the lake. Free of charge. Grandma volunteered every weekend. She baked cookies with Harper, read bedtime stories, taught her how to garden. One evening, as the sun disappeared behind the lake, Grandma quietly looked at Harper. You know, I used to think family was something you were born into. Harper smiled. What do you think now? Grandma gently held her hand. I think family is the people your heart chooses to love. Harper hugged her tightly. From the porch, I looked toward the water. The old wooden bench still carried Harper's name, the same one Grandpa had carved years ago. For a moment, I could almost hear his voice. My little sunshine, you were always family, and I knew he had been right all along. Family isn't defined by blood, wealth, or inheritance. Real family is built through love, kindness, and the courage to choose one another every single day. If this story touched your heart, please like this video. Bell subscribe to Untold Heart Stories for more emotional family dramas with unforgettable twists. Speech balloon comment below. If someone in your family told your child they didn't belong, could you ever forgive them? Heartbreak home.